Well, hello. Welcome back to the David Wilson Out and About channel. This morning I'm going to do a quick review on the Trekology UL80 sleeping pad or sleeping mat that I bought back in March. The reason I didn't do it any earlier is when I bought it in March it couldn't be used because, as you know, in the UK we were in lockdown till, well, basically beginning of June, so I didn't even use it till 2 weeks into June. As you can see, I have two, so I think you probably know where this review's going, and one's got still got its tag on it. As I just said, I didn't get to use the original mat which I got in my hand here until I think it was the second week in June, when I went up to Scotland and I was basically off-grid camping, kayak camping and wild camping for 15 days, and 10 of those days I was using it, and it was absolutely wonderful mat. I am a side sleeper, so I found it extremely comfortable and good value at the time. I had not used it since then until 2 weeks ago, when I travelled down to Dartmoor. On the first night I was on a woodland camp. I inflated it and it went down within 2 hours, so obviously the period of day re-inflating it, and even without me laying on it, it would basically deflate by about 50% within 2 or 3 hours. Once I laid on it, it was down to about 25%, so I was basically flat on the floor. When I got home, obviously disappointed, I contacted Trekology via the Amazon site, because that's where I bought it from, and the first customer service agent asked me to send a copy of the video of it deflating. I, not sarcastically, but obviously I wrote back saying that as I was actually 619 metres in the air and it was blowing a hoolie, I didn't really video the mat over 3 hours deflating. It's basically like videoing paint drying. Fortunately, another customer service agent picked up on it the next day and instantly offered to send me out a replacement mat. Not even asked for the old one back as yet. After they sent this, because this literally arrived within a day, I then had the fun of trying to locate the leak. So I basically put a pair of Speedos on, Frogman's outfit and a snorkel, took it into the bath and had a fight with it for an hour and a half, trying to soak it in the bath to see if I could find the leak. I couldn't find the leak anywhere. I was paying particular attention to the valve and the seams, because all the time I've used this is always laid on a foam rollout mat and a Highlander reflective mat as well, obviously to protect it. Then the tent floor and then a ground sheet underneath. There's no marks on any of them. I'm also, because most of the time the weather was quite decent, I was basically stripped right off to my underwear, so there was no sharp objects in the tent. That was all stowed. Anything, even foam, was stowed in the side pouch. So I've been very, very careful, so I'm sure it's not, I can't find a leak on it at all. So yeah, that is actually basically ready for the bin, although I will keep it for a while in case they suddenly turn around and say you haven't sent the old one back. The first thing I noticed when the new one arrived, and obviously I still had the old one ready to send back, was the difference in weight. Not so much the size. I mean, I've managed to roll the old mat a lot smaller than it turns up in the pack, but the actual weight is a substantial bit of difference. So what I did, I weighed them, and the old one was weighing in at 537 grams, and the new one's 753 grams. So that's a difference of 216 grams. Now, on the description mat now, it says that this is a new upgraded version, but it gives you absolutely no reason or rhyme why it's upgraded. So obviously I've inflated both side by side, although this one obviously goes down quite quickly, and I've taken a look at it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to inflate both and measure them, and then see if we can find a difference together. I'll get back in a moment. Well, what I've done, I've rolled them both out. This is the old one, the leaking one, and this is the new one. And what I've done, I've measured them They're exactly the same length, and I've checked the width, they're exactly the same width. I am going to inflate them, but there is seemingly no difference. The only difference I can see, and I'll put a picture up on the screen, is that the valves, although they look identical, the old one's light grey and the new one's dark grey. Other than that, it's exactly the same size. Obviously, once I inflate it, it's bound to prove that it's the same thickness, but I'm going to get on with the inflation, and then I'll get back to you. So I'll just put some information up while I'm inflating. I'm using the good old pump. The other thing I will say while it's pumping up, if you can, is at no time did I overinflate this. I only took it up to where it was pushable. I didn't inflate by my own breath. I just took it up to where the pump can take it, and it still had quite a bit of give in it, so I've not overinflated them. Now that's about as high as I've ever inflated them, mainly because of the change in the noise of the pump. The pump starts to struggle, so a lot of people would put a couple of extra breaths in. I've never really found it necessary. That was absolutely fine. As I said, that's the leaking one. As you can see, it's got a grey valve. As I said, I thoroughly checked the non-return valves. All the times I spent an hour and a half. I even took it out of the bath and then tried it with a solution of soapy water, you know, fairy liquid and water. Absolutely no leak showing at all. So as soon as the noise changes and the pump's beginning to struggle, it's switched off, no extra air added. Seems to take longer to inflate this one, strangely enough. There she goes. She's just changing sound. Now do. So there you go. Same length. Absolutely identical. So unless they've obviously, it even feels the same. So they've actually made the material stronger, although it doesn't feel any different. 10. No, it's absolutely the same size. As you can see for yourself. Excuse the camo tarp. That's the grass is still a bit damp, so I've laid that down because I'm at home in the rear garden. So there you go. There's the leaking one with a light grey valve. Turn this one round, so, and there's the other one with what looks like exactly the same valve, just in a darker grey. So can't find a leak, so that obviously that mat, I'll keep hold of it in case the Trekology through Amazon demand it after a couple of weeks or something, because they haven't sent me or asked for it back. They've just rushed this one out to me. I mean, the customer service is absolutely wonderful, second to none. But also there's quite a lot of videos on YouTube now about these mats deflating for all sorts of reasons. No one seems to be able to find the leaks. I mean, a couple of people have popped them. That's fair enough. That's going to happen. But there is quite a few. It's very worrying. There's a lot coming back as punctured. So, I mean, basically, even though I've got a new one and they were good enough to just no quibble after that silly message, which I thought was a very silly message, the first one, I can't fault them for that. But there is one person on YouTube that wrote a comment that he's had 6 mats in the space of a year. Well, the thing is, now I'm going away later in the month for wild camping, actually, fortunately in Kent. Now, the fortunate thing about it is I will have my vehicle probably about 400, 500 yards away. So maybe just slightly longer, but I now need to carry another mat. I feel that I need to carry another mat with me. That's not a problem, because the carrying, I won't have to carry it in. If this fails, I'll then walk to the vehicle and pick up the other mat. In the middle of Dartmoor, or somewhere more remote in Scotland, where I'm nowhere near the vehicle, you know, then I'm just laying on the foam, the little foam mat. Or do I take a Z mat with me as a backup? So I'm carrying more. You should only have to carry what you need, not things just in case, not extra sleeping mats. So at the moment my confidence is severely knocked, but obviously we'll have to see in time what happens with this one, and then I'll just update in another 6 months, or if it fails me earlier. Thing is, maybe shortly, within the next 2 months, I won't be using it much, so it probably will be 6 months before it's back out and extensively. So that's just my little update. As I said, I'm not into the business of doing reviews as soon as I get products. They're brand new. I've got to try and test them. I have done it with kayaks, but then I've done what I call a first impression, how I feel about it, what I think the build quality is like. Then I normally follow up 6 months and a year later, and I just carry on following up, which then it's tried and tested stuff. Well, this is tried, tested and failed. So anyway, that's just where it is at the moment. So I just thought I'd make this video just to add my penny's worth. I mean, you've got to know when things are not going right, as in it's nice to give praise to things that work out well. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you've found this video of use about buying one. I'm not trying to put you off. I've got nothing against Trekology. I've got their pillow and I've got a few other things of theirs, and it's a fantastic kit. Just this isn't working out at the moment for me. Right, I'm going to get back indoors and get this lot packed away. See you on the next video. Bye for now.